I'm ready. I replaced you in the stream with just audition. Don't forget to hit record on your side.
Oh, hold on. I have pressed record on my side. It
Okay.
is. I see things bouncing.
I have pressed record on my side now. This feels very much like the intro to Dave and Joel with the claps.
Mm.
Hopefully we won't have to keep doing this forever, but this works pretty well. All right. I see all my lines moving with this pipeline now. And there's already 2 people watching, so I guess we're good to go.
Go away, people.
All right. It's Tuesday, April 7th, 2020. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geek Nights. Tonight we are talking about Animal Crossing New Horizons. So it's finally warm enough to get outside, and that is really helping my sanity during the whole quarantine.
Yeah, the problem is even though I can go outside,
Got work to do.
I have to stay inside until 5 still.
So what I'm doing now,
the whole thing is I wanted to work from home so that I could just do whatever the hell I wanted to.
the monkey's paw,
okay.
the monkey's paw just curled. Now you get to work from home.
Yeah, but I can't do whatever I want while I'm working from home. I wanted to
Stupid
wake
paw.
up and bike until noon, come home, do a little work, maybe.
See, the problem is you didn't want to work from home. You just wanted to not work.
Yeah. But I could still do the amount of work that I do if I go to the office in less than 8 hours. I wanted to do the same total hours of actual work and have all the other time spent doing something else. Like, for example, if I was legit working from home, right, the way I wanted, I could go out to lunch at a restaurant with service.
Yeah. Of course, I can just go to the Baroness and get a burger if I want.
But you can't sit there and eat it during lunch.
Nope, I got to go back to my house.
Take it back home.
Yep.
Yeah.
But what I am doing now is every day.
I wanted to bring a laptop to the park or the beach and be like, well, I'm available to work. But nope, can't do that.
Yep, I think I'm going to start sitting with my laptop on the balcony doing work, at least occasionally.
Yes, I can do that as long as the sun is in the right position to not burn me.
Nah. But my plan now is every day during lunch, I'm actually going to go outside and go for a run or a bike first and then eat lunch. So we'll see how that goes.
Like, for example, today, I had a meeting at 10 and a meeting at 1. So I had not enough time, really, to get my shit together between them.
Don't you, doctor? You know my job is mostly meetings. Half of my job is literally just talking to people repeatedly and then having meetings with I have meetings all day. Luckily, all the nerds, I can just use instant messaging or to do the meetings and not actually have to talk out loud, because a lot of my good engineers, they would much rather just instant message me than actually get into a video call and talk for a half hour. But all the business side things, it's got to be video chat, face-to-face, 10 people in the room, let's go. So there is a bunch of news, but since there's no sports happening right now, normally this time of year is when we're starting to talk about NHL playoffs and the Rangers, are they going to make the wild card? But we got nothing. So I'm actually watching a lot more esports instead.
Okay.
Because Overwatch League is still going, still trucking on.
The only sport that's not canceled is esports.
So the thing about Overwatch League is I like watching esports tournaments, but I very rarely watch them live because I don't care that much who wins. So usually I'll either watch highlight reels or
you want New York to win? There's a New York.
I do want New York to win, and Excelsior they're still very good in the league. Excelsior is a solid team to be a fan of, but most of the other games I don't care that much, or the game might not be exciting. Sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't. So I tend to just wait for the VODs, and I'll either watch highlight reels or I'll watch the game everyone was talking about from the previous day on YouTube.
That is a problem in, I think, a lot of esports, is that there's professional sporting leagues tend to have often more parity.
Yep.
Even in NHL, it's well, teams that are clearly better than the other team will only beat the crappy team, not 100% of the time, but maybe 70% of the time, right?
Except the Red Wings right now.
Right, but in a lot of esports, you watch, say, a fighting game tournament, towards the end of the tournament, you get parity, you get excitement, right? Those early rounds, oof, it's just like,
Yeah, like watching New
watch
York
like
play, say, Boston in Overwatch
yeah,
League.
watch like Sonic Fox play against whoever it gets paired up with in round one. It's just
Yeah.
gonna be like boom. Right?
You know what
It's
I'm
not
thinking of?
entertaining.
I'm thinking of, you know, remember One Must Fall 2097 when you get the news commentator talking about the fight you just had? And if you
Right.
utterly fucking crushed your opponent, the commentator was like, if you wanted to see a fair test of skill, tonight was not your night. However, if you were looking for a masochistic pounding, have we got highlights for you?
Right. Usually other pro sports that have like opens, like say US Open of golf, you don't really see the
Yeah,
right.
camera's
It's
not
not a
following
direct
the last person.
right. You never see the guy who hits it into the trees 20 times.
Yep, Captain
Right.
Joe plus 20.
Right.
They're
So you don't
following
see
like
the
Tiger Woods +1 or -2 or wherever they
or
are.
something. Well, US Open is pretty hard even for the best people.
Yeah.
Right.
But like
but
even
like
in F1, there was a Super Aguri.
that's right. But you don't see they don't keep the camera on the Super Aguri. You
Yeah.
can just watch.
You check in with them. You
the
don't follow them.
Mercedeses and the Ferraris and whoever's up front. You can just keep your eyes on them. Or Red Bulls, whoever is
Yep.
this year is the good car.
I don't need
You
to
can keep
watch
your eyes
Boston
on them.
Uprising lose, but I like someone to check in and tell me that they lost.
Right. So it's like when you're watching even NFL football was a little less parity, right? When there's a game that's like Cleveland Browns versus so and so, you just don't watch that game because there's so many simultaneous games. They got the red zone, right? So you're always watching something, good.
Yep. So I think this, and the other problem is Overwatch League is global. So like the games are on weekends, like Saturday and Sunday mostly, but some of the matches I want to watch are at like 4 a.m. And the matches I don't give a shit about are at like 6 when I would normally watch. Like I don't want to watch Houston and Boston. Like I just don't care. So I'm gonna try to watch some more live games, but probably not this weekend because there's no live games during my time zone that I care that much about.
Yeah, most of what we've been watching esports wise is Link to the Past randomizer. There was
Yeah.
a tournament, and we watched the tournament, which is great. But now there's a league that's going on, and the league has a lot like I just said, less parity than the late rounds of the tournament, which are super legit. The league has a lot of, some teams are just better than others, right?
Yeah.
So it's just like complete blowouts, and it's not exciting close races like the tournament was towards the end there.
Yeah, well, I mean, with these niche sports, like when you get to randomizers, that is already a subculture of a subculture of a subculture.
Yet the number of people watching those things is
Right.
shocking. Like the Link to the Past randomizer community is shockingly large. Like
Yup.
they put together this league. I think the teams are 3 or 4 people. I don't know, 3 or 4 people each. And there's a ton of teams. And even minor races have like hundreds or perhaps even like 1,000 viewers. Right? It's way more popular than freaking Geek Nights.
Yeah. We serve a very specific audience. The listener appreciates us.
Sure.
So in some other news, one, a lot of you, like I didn't even notice this news about Cooking Mama at first because the few tweets I saw the few tweets I saw about it were so obviously not true that I ignored it as like a ridiculous conspiracy bullshit thing. But it kept getting talked about.
Oh yeah, so I saw this news from the beginning because it was in the Nintendo Switch community discussions, right? And then basically people were saying, "Hey, this Cooking Mama came out, and that's a semi-popular second tier, maybe third tier franchise that was really one of those like." There's a lot of these game franchises that were big on the DS or Nintendo mobile platforms that were sort of like big in the small pond, right?
Yep, like Brain Age was that.
Well, I mean, that's a Nintendo first-party title.
True.
I'm talking about like your Golden Suns, right?
Oh, I forgot about Golden Sun.
The 9 whatever.
Yeah, 9 somethings. There
were actually like a whole bunch of third-party games. Phoenix Wright, I guess, falls in that category too, right? These things that were really popular on mobile Nintendo platforms. They weren't on consoles, right? It was just in there. But now that Switch is everything, all those games are mixed up in the Switch.
Yeah.
Right. So if there are new games in those franchises, suddenly they have the visibility outside the mobile realm. And for anyone who hasn't, like the Nintendo Portable Game Boy, GBA, DS, right, 3DS, that is like this great, I think, still underrated, underappreciated treasure trove of amazing games. It's like this enormous library with a lot of shovelware, but also a lot of amazing games that I think is really underappreciated, not talked about, not cared about.
Yep.
But anyway, so Cooking Mama was a pretty big game on the DS and a pretty nothing game to anyone who wasn't paying attention to DS, right?
Yep.
Um, and
I mean,
it
it's not
kept
my kind of
having
game, but it's like I like the
no,
style. Like I see the
yeah,
appeal of this kind of game. It was popular.
right. So there was a new one that came out on the Switch, and it was even in stores, cartridges in stores, right? And then suddenly it was removed from the eShop.
Now, we do not,
Mysteriously,
as of this
suddenly.
dateline, know actually why it was removed. Like we do not
Yes.
know that. There have been some
No.
conflicting. It sounds like it's a dispute between the developers and the publisher and or Nintendo. Like we don't know.
Hmm. But anyway, so it instantly disappeared from the eShop, right? Shortly after release. People still have cartridges and they can play it, but now people are like, "Whoa, hold on to that cartridge because it might be valuable. It's gonna be some rare
Yep.
game, right?"
But then
Um,
some people started just tweeting this ridiculous rumor that it was removed because it was mining bitcoins on your Switch and then bricking your Switch. And I saw the baby, and the baby looked at me.
right. So there are two reasons that I immediately knew that that was bullshit, right? Number one, obviously, if you had a game that was mining bitcoins or cryptocurrency on a Switch, that it would get pulled from the store.
Yeah.
However, number one, Nintendo Switches are weak sauce CPU wise.
Yeah, the days where you could mine a Bitcoin on a CPU as opposed to a dedicated Nightmare machine
Oh,
are,
it has a GPU, but
well,
it's
technically.
and I guess if you can infect enough of them. But how many people are buying Cooking Mama, even if that's true, right? It's like, and the Nintendo Switch, the battery would just die. It's like it's a weak sauce thing. That's not a good idea. And two, every game that comes out on Nintendo Switch is thoroughly reviewed by
Yeah,
Nintendo.
like if you got some malware onto the Switch officially, like my head is off to you. Nintendo doesn't fuck around.
Yeah. So it's like you think it's hard to get your app into like the Apple App Store. It's like no, right? Nintendo is like completely examining every inch of your
But
your
like the
software.
vector is implausible, but the result is also implausible. It would be impossible to mine bitcoins on a Nintendo Switch.
You could do a very small amount of mining,
Yeah.
and if you got enough switches together, maybe you could mine a coin in some
Yep,
time. Anyway,
maybe. But even
the
beyond
point
that,
is that was a bullshit story. I could tell from the start.
yep. And then all
And
these reports, like the so-called reports of like Switches being bricked by the game, literally all came from like one tweet.
well, it does seem to be true, at least more likely to be true. I don't know if this is confirmed that the game is just poorly coded in Unity in general. Right?
Yeah, but
And
there's a lot of games like that.
it was put together by like some first time dev team that didn't have mad skills, and so the game is poorly coded and inefficient. So your Switch will heat up and it'll use a lot of CPU and drop frames, and it's not well done.
Yeah, but there are a lot of games that have similar problems. Like that is not really evidence of
Sure.
anything.
Obviously. So somebody's claiming to be a anonymous developer on the game or working at the developer, or perhaps a reporter, possibly making up a source, possibly having a real source,
Yep.
has told the story that is much more plausible, right? So we'll take it as truth for the time being, that there was a battle between the publisher and developer, right, in the legal realm, right, and that is why the game has been pulled, and there's some shenanigans going on business wise, which is totally what you would expect from that sort of thing.
Nah.
And that's why this game has disappeared from the eShop. But it remains true that as it was a game and a somewhat significant known franchise that was in the eShop and pulled, and there are cartridges out there and hard to get. So I would recommend getting a cartridge wouldn't be.
Yeah, if you got one, hold on
the
to
game's
it.
probably not awful. Cooking Mama's like, all right, fun. I can't imagine how bad a new Cooking Mama game could be if you play it. And if you don't play it and put it in the closet,
So
maybe.
another component of where this rumor seems to have come from is this talk about a company that was involved in the creation of the game saying like that company was also involved not in cryptocurrency but in blockchain, which is a generic ledger technology. Bitcoin just happens to use a blockchain. There are other ways to use blockchain. Now,
Also, it seems that is just messed up. I mean, they were just made up.
yeah,
Not
but
messed up.
full disclosure,
They're not actually doing any blockchain anything.
well, there were a bunch of companies trying to get investors. I'm not saying this happened here, but I've been privy to a lot of VC pitches, and I saw a lot of this in other games in the industry. People would basically, to try to get idiots who want to invest in Bitcoin to invest in like a game studio or a publisher, would try to incorporate blockchain technology in some reasonably plausible, feasible way, just so they can say that it is pushing the frontier of blockchain.
I think it's more like,
And there are
people are investing in buzzwords. Let's just attach the
Yep.
buzzword to our thing without actually doing whatever the buzzword is.
Well, the
if it
most
even
common
is
thing to
anything.
do, if you did anything, was just to use something like blockchain to record transactions that multiple players have on their own systems without having to necessarily trust those systems for like trading goods. Like using it as the back end for item trading in games online. Like that's it.
That still seems like not the
Oh no,
greatest
it's
thing.
blockchain is never the
You
right
just have a
answer
database.
for
You just do
anything.
it the World of Warcraft way. Have a database.
Yep. Like I'm not saying that is a reasonable technology to use for these purposes, but it's plausible enough to
Yeah,
make
more-
a case.
Yeah, more and more every day, I'm starting to believe that pretty much almost all business, software problems.
Oh, you're thinking
are
about
just-
that because of a specific thread in our forum.
No, I'm just saying almost all business software problems in the world, whatever your business is, right? Whatever your problem is, if it's an information problem, right, that a computer can solve,
Yep.
Postgres probably solves it. You
Yep.
probably don't need to do anything else. You don't need any weird anything else.
You know what?
Just start with Postgres.
Yep.
Do as much as you can with PostgreSQL as towards solving your problem, and add a programming language on top of it, to get an application running on a server, Python or even C. It doesn't for anything that can connect to Postgres,
Yep.
right? And get those two pieces. And if you can't solve your problem with those two pieces after putting a lot of effort in, then you're allowed to add more pieces.
Yep. It's
Right.
like expensive
There-
skis. If
if
you
you
don't
can-
know why you need them, you don't need them. If you don't know
Right,
why you
there's
need anything
almost
other than
no
Postgres.
information problem that cannot be solved with a combination of Postgres and any modern programming language running on a server
Yep.
together.
You
You don't need anything else.
What, you need a message bus? I don't know. Throw like Kafka on top of it. Done.
You
Fine.
might need that maybe.
Maybe.
But you
But,
could also, but you should implement your message bus as just like a fucking queue in a
JMSQ.
table first. Or there must, the Postgres probably has some queuing feature, built in something.
Postgres
If
has
you
come a
can't do
long
it-
way since the last time I messed with it
Right.
directly.
Don't go using a Kafka until you figured out that you can't do it directly in Postgres itself.
Yeah. Well, I guess if
We actually have a Kafka at work doing some
Kafka's
stuff.
pretty good, like in terms of
It's
an
all right.
enterprise service bus, like one of those like big iron
Right.
like buses.
I'm not saying that other pieces are never to be used, right?
Yeah.
I'm saying that they definitely have there are problems that do need more stuff.
Yeah, but I have
But
seen
the
people
vast
set up
majority
like
do not.
solar systems, like SOLR solar, to handle amounts of data that could trivially be handled by literally any other solution.
Right. For example, Postgres full text search is pretty damn good,
Yep.
right?
It's also
Don't go
more
adding
performant than you might expect.
Oh yeah, so don't go adding some kind of, Lucene, Solar, Elasticsearch,
Yeah.
whatever, until you've proven that the full text search in Postgres isn't good.
Yeah, when I went in an old company, when I brought some architecture that I owned from just a database to a Lucene index, that was when we got to the point of keeping track of 50 million daily transactions that were moderately large and wanting to keep 6 months of them.
Yep.
Like
Anyway,
ridiculous shit.
So not Monday.
Yep.
It's Tuesday.
Yep. But Cooking Mama is not mining Bitcoins. Good God. Like,
No, it's definitely not.
get more than one source before you spread this crap. Like, seriously. I got a brief geek bite. If you haven't dusted off Slay the Spire in a while, single player game, available on Steam, on Switch, like pretty much everywhere.
Except iOS, I'm still waiting for.
It is great on the Switch because the user interface is so good. It is such a good lay in bed and play this game until you fall asleep. Like, the UX is just perfect for how you manipulate these cards. This game is great. But what I want to geek bite is that the Switch has the new character that was added and all the balance changes that were added. The Watcher, the new character, if you even if you think you played Slay the Spire out, I would definitely recommend picking it back up and going through the Ascensions with the new character. The new character is radically different from the other characters in really fun ways.
Mm-hmm.
The main thing is the character has stances, and cards and potions things can put you into stances. So you might get into aggressive stance. That means you do double damage, just full stop. You also take double damage.
Uh-oh.
You can go into a calm stance. All that does is whenever you exit the calm stance, you get 2 more energy right then and there.
Mm-hmm.
So you can like make clever combos. It's really like a long play. Like you'll play this, like you'll be fighting a boss. You do no damage to this boss for like 10 rounds, setting up your ridiculous combo, and then you play one turn that one-shots the boss. Like that's the kind of style you play with this character. It is crazy fun.
Oh, so that actually reminds me, just very quickly, there was a early access game that I played on Steam called Curse of the Dead Gods. It is
You
still
mentioned that.
I still believe it is early access. Let me just verify.
Curse of the
Yeah,
Dead
it's an
Gods on
early access
Steam?
game. And yeah, basically what this game is it's a Slay the Spire kind of roguelike, right? Where you have the branching map and you choose where you're going next, and each different thing you could go to a gold room or an item room or a stats room to choose what kind of, right? But instead of playing a card game at each spot, you play basically sort of a real-time Diablo-esque action RPG.
Ah.
So it's like you go, I'll go to the gold room. All right, here's a tiny 2 Diablo rooms, and there's a lot of gold in them and also bad guys. And it's a little bit more action real time than Diablo, but it's still isometric view, right? Use your spells and abilities and attacks and whatever, parrying, stuff like that.
All right.
It's very early access. The amount of content is, sparse. But it still was pretty fun. I played it for about an hour, and I'm probably going to play it again once it gets more content. It seems there was a major update today at 11 a.m. Room variations. See, they're
Ooh,
adding all
yeah.
kinds of stuff.
This is one of the reasons why I tend to avoid early access for games that I know I'm going to like.
Yeah, no. I just wanted to, I like I said, I put it in, I checked it out, and I probably won't go back to it until it's done-ish, right? Because I sort of played out the amount of content they had very quickly.
So speaking of, this is like a prime season to dust off a Steam library, to play video games that you didn't have time to play. Like, we're playing a lot of video games, but the industry that is in deep shit right now is the board game industry. Things are not going well. And some of the reasons you can anticipate, but some of them you probably can't. There were other problems that had happened in this industry like late last year that already put it in a precarious situation. So we're looking at maybe a lot of publishers like slowing down, laying people off, projects might
I just
fail.
wonder what it means indirectly for the table, because I don't care if I already felt like one of the major problems of the board gaming industry, which probably contributed to this, was making way too many games.
Oh, 100%. I think a lot of the studios that are going to go down, to be perfectly blunt, didn't really have a viable path to success anyway, and were riding a bubble at best.
Right. So the thing is that I don't care if all those games that weren't any good anyway stop glutting up the market with shovelware inventory, right? But what I do care is, if there's not as many game publishers, how are there going to be less gaming cons?
Yep. Or less gaming stores, because the gaming stores are also not doing well, but now they can't make money from selling, because online you can't make enough money with that. And they can't make money with the impulse buys because people are playing games in their shops.
Yep.
And you think, everyone's stuck at home. Everyone's stuck at home isolated. So very hard to get a board game going. People who would normally buy and play a board game are going to Tabletop Simulator. They're going to online implementations of these games. They're going to the game like Slay the Spire. They're just playing video games instead.
Yep.
2-player games, I think, are having a minor renaissance, but there aren't that many 2-player games. They're sold out everywhere, the good 2-player games I know of. And you're not going to be able to build and develop a new 2-player game because you can't manufacture things in China, not just because of the virus and all that situation, not just because of all the supply chain distribution problems coming all the way up to the US and everywhere in the world, but because of all the tariffs and all the other shit that was going down last year. That's still happening.
Yep. There's also a lot of shenanigans going on with regards to Asmodee, a lot of
Oh,
the
the return
distributors.
policy problems.
Right. There have been distributor situations. They changed their distributors around. FFG had huge cutbacks, right, on all their products that weren't
Yep.
selling.
The
Basically,
industry
they
was
stopped making
entering a
them.
contraction, and there was a lot of trouble going down, and then this happened.
Right.
So,
So basically, what you're going to see at minimum, I think, is the board game hobby industry, right, is going to retract back to only the successful things, right? And you're going to see a lot less of those like board game shelf with a million games, including like obscure ones. It's going to be like, no, there's your Warhammer, there's your Magic, there's your Pandemic, there's your
yep.
Dominion, there's your Catan, right? The big boys
Because you might
are going
think,
to
even
be
if,
fine.
let's say, like the crisis boils down a little bit, and all the like fall conventions happen, like PAX West and PAX Unplugged, for example. The problem is, right around now is when expo space and publisher deals and all the things for those conventions would
Right, well,
normally
it's
be
like you think
happening.
Gen Con's gonna happen? That's a lot earlier than
Yeah, I don't
PAX
think Gen Con's
West.
gonna happen.
Origins, I don't know when that
Yeah,
is, right?
but even the planning for those events is
Essen in
disrupted.
October, is that gonna happen?
And companies that are already in a retraction are not as able to dump their advertising budget on things. They're probably going to cannibalize that advertising budget to focus on core properties and monetization and just staying alive. So
Mm.
it's going to be a real rough time for the game, like the board game industry as a whole.
I think it's actually though a good time. Well, it's a bad time for a game publisher,
For
right?
sure.
Who is trying to like gather up board games and so right. It's a good time if you're a board game author.
Yep. If you're a core designer, like if you're just doing a design, if you're doing like that early
Right.
research, you're
Because
building something, but you don't have to ship it right away.
there will be less shovelware clogging up the market, right? And so if you come up with like an actual legit hit big time game, right? You can go the Kickstarter normal route. You're going to have to get your game printed somewhere that can still print it at probably a higher price.
Yep.
You're still going to be able to ship it somehow, right?
I think you're also going to see a pivot to companies that are good at taking an existing tabletop game and making an online implementation. Your day has come.
Oh yeah.
Now is the time. Like the fact that the Root video game is not out yet because they weren't in that much of a rush is terrible. Because if Root were online now, even just with the original game, like the original factions, I think it would like be near the top of the Steam charts.
Maybe.
Like,
That's the people doing that are the same people who did the Y and Y
yep,
digital edition,
which is good.
It is. Yeah, I'm looking it up right now.
Iron
It's
something. I always lose track of them.
Direwolf.
Direwolf.
Yeah. Direwolf Digital, right? They did a Sagrada, they did Eternal Echoes of Eternity, Raiders of the North Sea, Yellow and Yangtze, and they're doing the digital Root edition, and they did a great job. If anyone's got Yellow and Yangtze on Steam, let's play.
Yeah, let's get a game going.
Yeah.
I would love to play that together.
Let's do it.
All right. And last, we'll go brief on this because I want to get talking about Animal Crossing, but there's some Animal Crossing news. We all know that nobody likes Zipper. Zipper the bunny. Because
I only saw him on the first day and then he disappeared.
Yep, he came back because Emily joined my island and then he came back so she could talk to him.
Oh, I see.
But when I saw Zipper, I kind of started because everyone kept saying, "Oh, there's this bunny," and I hate it. But then I saw the bunny. That is some Five Nights at Freddy's shit. He's clearly in a costume. He's clearly not a bunny, and he's looking at me in the distance.
I think it's supposed to be that it's.
Well, it's supposed to be like a working person, like it's just a job, like this person is wearing this costume and trying their hardest, but
it's either Tom Nook or someone Tom Nook hired, right?
Yep, but in reality, it just feels like it's Five Nights at Freddy's and this thing's gonna murder me.
He's trying to attract people to the island with his holiday.
Yeah, but the news is that Animal Crossing has the Easter event called Bunny Day in the US, all the events that they do, and nobody liked the egg hunt either, and people were so mad about it that Nintendo, they actually dialed back the egg drop rates because no one wants to get more eggs. They want to find actual fish.
Well, they mostly dialed it back on the sky eggs because there were just too many.
Yep.
Right? They were constant, like balloons are coming
I
over.
stopped shooting them down. I just didn't care anymore.
Well, I look at the balloon to see if it's a bunny one or a regular one.
Yeah.
If it's a bunny one, I ignore it, right? But I don't think they dialed them back at the other thing. I think what it is that the rate that they had makes sense from the standpoint of I've been playing this game for a while and I have all the stuff and I'm bored and I
True.
need something new.
Like, ooh, I'm gonna
But
craft all the Bunny Day stuff.
right.
Let's go.
But it doesn't make sense for a game that just came out. People are still trying to like build up from nothing.
I'm still trying to get a
And
second room. Like, new players are buying this game by the day.
right, it's like you're trying to get your, beginning of game stuff. Like I need, to get all the basic common fish, and it's like, well, half the fish you pull are just water eggs, right? And that gets in the way.
God, like, what if
And
I
think
started the game today? Like, how am I even gonna like do anything?
right. The other thing, it'll be over in 5 days.
Yep.
The thing that really, I think, for me, made the event less fun is that none of the Bunny Day goods.
It's ugly.
to craft
It's so
are all
ugly.
ugly and bleh. I don't want them.
I was
If
like, ooh,
any
a
of
Bunny
them
Day
were
bed. Will this be cool? And it's just like this bulbous monstrosity.
Yeah, if any of them were ones I wanted, right, then I'd be like, ooh, I need eggs to make the cool Bunny Day whatever.
No, I
But
want the
no,
cherry blossom stuff instead.
Right, there actually isn't that much cherry blossom stuff. It's very few things.
I know, but that's the only things I want.
Yeah, and cherry blossoms go away in 3 days.
Oh, I better deal with that. But anyway, now we'll do things of the day. Don't stop recording or anything. Things of the
sure.
day. So
Yep, it's still recording.
I'll say that again. Things of the day. So if you watch the wonderful sport of ice hockey, one thing, and you're not like in ice hockey culture, one thing that always stands out to people is, oh shit, are they just fighting? Why isn't anyone stopping them? Because like, if someone tries to have a fist fight in like a basketball game, a football match,
Malice at the Palace.
like the police get involved. Like that is a problem. Like that does not. But
I'm still of the opinion that if there is a fight in an ice hockey game, you should be you should be able to press charges against the other dude.
But
right?
ice hockey's weird in that the only written rules about fighting are that if you fight, you and the person you fought with get 5 minutes. And then there's other penalties, like if you instigated the fight versus if
you
were
had that fight on the street, you'd at least have like a night in jail or a summons or something.
Yep.
Right.
But
something like that.
But there's the written rules of fighting in hockey, which are very straightforward and very simple. And then there's the actual rules, because like all hockey fans who watch hockey know that the rule is if two people are fighting and they followed the rules to start the fight, the refs really can't stop them unless someone wins the fight or it comes to the ground. And they follow these rules, but they're not written down anywhere. So what this video is a humorous 10-minute long video. I think it's a Bruins fan. They have a lot of Marchand in here, but
well, that's because he's an ass. They're using him as an example. Maybe they're probably not a Bruins fan.
Yeah, they use him as an example of the player who tricks you into starting a fight and then walks away and you just get a penalty for nothing.
Yeah, scumbag.
Yeah. But
Anyway.
what this video does is in 10 minutes, it explains in a humorous way, but actually like in a really, really accurate way, what the actual unwritten rules are for fighting in hockey. So if you watch this video, you'll understand why sometimes the refs break up a fight and why sometimes they don't. Like when fights get broken up, how they get broken up, and why. Like this video is actually really detailed and accurate. So what do you got?
Oh, so, our favorite word, the F word, right? The most common word said in New York.
Yep.
Supposedly, according to Scotsman.com and according to this new TV documentary.
Wait a minute. Scotsman.com. Did a Scotsman write this?
Maybe. And also, according to a BBC Scotland documentary.
Still biased.
I sure hope this isn't this seems to be a real news site, right? This isn't one of those like fake Scottish news things. It seems real to me.
I mean, no, very few listeners called me out on a fake Scottish news I talked about a while ago. That was
oh, that was also Scottish.
Yes.
Can't trust these Scottish news sites. The Scots, right?
The one time
People
I took
need
the piss
Scots.
and like one person messaged me and they're like, there's no way that's true, is it? And I was like, no.
Anyway, the point is, according to this, there used to be a thing called flighting or fleeting, which is basically a poetry duel or like a 16th century rap battle.
Ooh.
Right? Is how they describe it.
I want to find a historical reenactor. I want to see one of these.
But anyway, in one such battle, the flighting of Dunbar and Kennedy, right? In which is a written account of the flighting that they had. So it's like Dunbar and Kennedy had a rap battle, a poetry battle, right? Dunbar wrote down an account of it, and in that account is supposedly the oldest known written, occurrence of the word fuck.
That, if true, is amazing.
Some very juicy language, and points out one of the insults traded between the two poets was the phrase "Wan fuck it funling," which is probably not how that's pronounced. We need a Scottish person to pronounce it, right? But yeah, if true, this is fascinating and great.
It's my most commonly. It's one of my. It's a very important word.
Yeah.
I use it daily.
Etymology. Etymology.
So in the meta moment, Geek Night sounds a little weird. Like as we've said before, we're doing the show remotely. As of today, we are now live streaming the show remotely. That was more annoying to set up than you realize, and I hope you. Well, there are 12 people watching this, so I think some people are hungry for the live streams to come back.
Maybe.
The book club book. We're not reading books. We're playing video games. So hold off on that for a while.
I'm reading comic books.
Yep. I'm mostly playing video games and reading nonfiction. I started, that Shattered Sword book. Now that Chris is reading it, I reread a chapter of it. That was a particularly good chapter. So that's where I'm at in terms of books.
Okay. In terms of meta, I want to remind people that we have a semi-official Geek Nights Discord server that you can come to, and we do some streams there. They're low-effort streams because it's way easier to do than to go on Twitch, which is a big time... or YouTube, which is a big time investment.
It's more like you want to hang out in the room with like me or Scott while like I'm just playing XCOM or something.
Right. It's like I'm playing Civilization. Might as well click this one button that will make a stream happen. And then if you can join in with a voice chat, and you can even stream your own game or whatever, right? I also want to remind people we have a forum that's on our website, community.frontrecruit.com. And I want to remind people that there's an official Geek Nights newsletter, which is the kind of thing that you have time to remember
about that
when you got nothing else to do.
We gotta do our other secret project of the other writing thing.
Yes, there are basically the Geek Nights newsletter is basically secret emails that I write that only go to 300 or so people that are subscribed to it, probably a small percentage of who read it. And you can there's actually a public archive of it that you can read the old emails, but no one pays attention to it. I write it rarely. But if I'm stuck at home, got nothing else to do.
Similarly, I'm restarting my Rims Rants where I did the Friday Geek Nights on the Patreon. So I'm starting those up again this week.
Got time to not cherish.
Yep. Must waste it. Or must kill it. Mustn't kill time, boy. I find as I get older, unless I rewatch The Simpsons, I start to lose my precise Simpsons quoting abilities, and I get more generic. I gotta rewatch seasons 2 through 9.
I remember more quotes, and I forget like I know mustn't kill time, boy. Cherish it, right?
That's the same. Can I get $5 to go get loaded?
I couldn't tell you what episode it was. I couldn't tell you which old man said it.
Oh, see, I do remember the A plot and the B plots and where they line up. Though there's occasional gaps past season 7. Like I forgot that a bunch of choice lines were in the Homer learns how to box with Moe. And I also forgot it ends with that montage of Moe saving everybody with the fan.
Okay.
You don't remember this at all, do you?
Nope.
Wow. Homer boxes Mike Tyson and Don King is in it, but it's not Mike Tyson and Don King.
Yes.
That one.
Okay.
Yeah. They used to call me Kid Gorgeous. So, follow us and all the stuff. Watch our YouTube channels. We're doing more and more. We're streaming again. Bit by bit, we're going to crank out more and more content. But now, something amazing happened. Both Scott and I are playing an Animal Crossing game, which I was aware that Animal Crossing existed for much of my adult life. All I knew was it's the game where you just talk to animals in a little town, and I didn't really know anything else about it.
Right. Well, I mean, so Animal Crossing first appeared on the GameCube, right? And when it came out, it was like the one first-party Nintendo GameCube game that I didn't go for.
Well, it came out on the N64, but I don't think that one came out in the US.
No, so actually, the real story is that in Japan, the original one, which I think is called, it's like the Japanese name is like Dobutsu something because Dobutsu is animal.
Yep.
Right? It's like Dobutsu something, which means forest. I think it's animal forest and not crossing. Anyway, the point is that original N64 one was Japan only.
Yep. And then enhanced
Then,
and released with new content on the GameCube.
right. Then they made it was like an upgraded version on the GameCube, and that upgraded version on the GameCube is what the original US release was.
Yep. Similar shenanigans happened with some of the early Advance Wars games. Like similar stuff went down.
It's similar to what happened with the Zelda game that came out on GameCube and Wii.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Right? Was that Twilight Princess, I think?
Yep.
Came out on GameCube and Wii.
You know, I
The
never
Wii
finished that one.
fancier. Anyway. So yeah, but what I knew about Animal Crossing was I knew that it was a game where like you're a person who gets made to be the mayor of a village, you have to pay off debts, and you do lots of basically no skill busy work, right? Collecting and selling fruit, playing some sort of turnip stock market game, fishing, collecting stuff.
Yep.
Right.
I
So it was
recognized,
sort of just like
and I knew characters
a
from it.
busy work collecting kind of game.
Like I
and you
knew,
would-
I knew there's Tom Nook because people would talk about Tom Nook a lot. Like Animal Crossing was widely represented in my social media and like in the wider gaming spaces I inhabited, even though I did not play it myself and I didn't really know a lot of people who played it. I would encounter it kind of often.
Yeah, no, I mean I knew enough about it tangentially. I just never actually played one.
Yep.
Right. Because I didn't feel like I needed to, because I felt I knew what kind of game it was.
Yep.
So, but the new one came out, which I probably also wasn't planning to buy. I didn't buy it on the first day, but we're stuck inside and there's nothing else to do.
And
literally
all our friends are playing it. Like everyone's playing it.
literally everyone's playing it. So I'm like, well, when in Rome,
Yep.
whatever, I'll do this for a while and then I'll stop, right?
But
It'll be
also,
fine.
partly because like a lot of our friends who are playing it are really into it. Like the people who like Animal Crossing really like it. And while we had tangential knowledge of it, I feel like it's worth at least exploring and like playing what this game actually is and seeing.
I did play the Animal Crossing actually on iOS, the Happy whatever, right?
Wasn't that
But
like a
game?
mobile game though?
Yeah, no, actually, it wasn't really much of a game. It wasn't really much like Animal Crossing for real. Basically, all it was Animal Crossing styled game where you can decorate your little area, right? It was all about decorating your area, and the way to decorate the area was like basically pay money, right? There wasn't all the like the
Nah.
stuff to do task wise, really.
So
right?
I guess if I had to describe Animal Crossing, well, we're going to review now because the only game we ever played is New Horizons, which we're playing actively now. We've played enough.
Yeah, not reviewing the old ones.
Yep. But if I had to describe this game just as a reviewer, I would say that it is a game about talking to animals and making them happy. And everything else kind of, and we'll talk to animals, try to make them happy while curating your little animal village and slowly investing in it and then customizing it.
I think it's more basically just the world's most advanced cookie clicker, right?
Mm. It's
you think
definitely
about
got some of
Cookie
that going
Clicker.
on.
Right. So cookie clicker, you click and you get stuff, right? And you click and you get stuff, and then eventually you get enough stuff that you can buy something.
The
that helps
same
you
could be
click.
said of all Diablo games.
Sure. But there's no skill. There's very little skill to the clicking.
Yeah,
right?
the
There is
skill.
some,
There's
I mean,
meta skill. The skill.
I'll
in-
mess up catching a fish now and then.
The skill is more like the people who get into this game will learn techniques and have patterns and like fastest paths to paying off debts and make charts to figure out
Right,
the turnip market.
It's just simple. An extra layer of management of the clicks, right? It's not based on your skill, right? Of pushing buttons is what I'm right. It's
Yeah.
just the trees grow fruit. Some things are like an idle game. They're time based. You wait for the fruit to grow and then right?
Yep.
But you have to, because the game is attached to a real time clock, unless you cheat, you have to be on top of it, right? You have to pick your fruit when it gets ready, sort of like the real time submarine game.
Oh yeah. So subterfuge.
Yeah, right.
But I kind of
Um,
like that in one sense. Like when I first.
You want to sell your fruit on a different island, your native fruit on a different island to get more money, and sell your other fruits locally to get more money, right?
Yeah, well, there's a bunch of like sort of meta games within. Like there's the cookie clicker aspect of get all the stuff. Then there's the like more of a playground, like Lego aspect of super customize your island because that's like the end game. Like just make it.
Yes, but it feeds into each other. You can't super customize your island if you don't have enough money,
Yep.
right? You need to play the game of grinding away at the different lanes, right? You can grind at fish, you can grind at seashells, you can grind at farming,
Yep.
you can grind at the turnip stock market.
But then
You
there's
know,
this
you
other
can,
parallel game of
you can grind at bug catching.
as you meet new villagers and get them to move into your island bit by bit and they come and go, you can try to learn what each one's deal is because they all have like a pretty particular deal and based on how they react. And you give them right gifts and try to make them happy. And like there's a whole like side game there.
I guess I don't pay attention to that too much because it's like, other
I
people
really
like
want my villagers to like me, and I really try to. I
okay.
come up with like specific gifts based on like my bird bro was like every time I talked to him for 2 days, he was like complaining about how he can't catch fish. So I gave him some bait, and he got really fucking jazzed about it.
Okay. Yeah, it's like I mostly like, I other people seem to really want particular villagers to move
Well, because
in.
some
They're
of them are
kicking out-
ugly or weird or terrifying.
They're kicking out villagers they don't like. For me, all the villagers seem kind of equal and meh. I don't really care about any of them.
I like a few. I like the two I
looked
started
at like
with.
the list of all villagers and like none of them were like, oh man, that's a great villager.
There's a few I like. Isabel's pretty chill, but she's not really a villager. She's special.
No, but it's like I have one of the ones I got immediately was Puck, the hockey playing penguin.
Oh, I
and
want him.
He's okay. He's, I guess he's maybe the
I guess
best.
the two I started
not
with
like
I like because like I got Plucky, who's just like chill and seems to
got-
be deep down for whatever, and I got the bird bro Pierce, the weightlifted guy.
I have a bird bro who likes exercising, but I don't think his name is Pierce.
I forget their names. I think it's Pierce. I don't know the Animal Crossing characters' names.
Me either. But I guess I'm not really care too much about that part of the game. I guess it's just you want to eventually get the maximum number of houses onto your island full of people, because that's how you like get to the end game of the KK Slider concert, I guess. If there is
Yeah,
such thing as
his name is
endgame.
Pierce.
Right. It's like the game provides for you this path of upgrading stuff where you actually get the stuff, then you pay off the loan afterwards, but you don't have to pay off the loan because there's no interest and there's no due date.
Yeah,
You could
everyone
just get
complains
a-
about Tom Nook wanting bells. He doesn't want that many bells.
You could get a loan for your house, upgrade it, and literally never pay off that loan if you're satisfied with the current state of your house.
Yep.
So that's like if I like in the real world, imagine like if I got a loan and bought a car and they said, "All right, you only need to pay off that loan if you want to actually get a loan to buy a better car. If you're satisfied with that car, never pay the loan and will be never charge you interest or come after you." It's like, "Oh, so the lowest level car is free," is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yes. And the third, so basically
I know
every
you.
car
I suspect
costs the price of one lower level car.
if you could have, you would have stayed in the tent forever.
Like you could pay off the price of your Honda Civic, and then he'll give you a loan for a Mercedes or a BMW, and you could just not pay that off.
But I love
You could-
how Tom Nook will like give me the loan, but then I could deposit the entirety of what I owe him into my savings account, and he'll pay me interest.
Yeah. It's not a real.
What are you saying?
economy.
There's villagers you don't like. What about Matilda? She looks angry, and she's a kangaroo, and she's got a little baby in her pouch who also looks angry.
I'm just saying none of the villagers particularly appeal to me. Like, oh man, I want that one in my village.
I definitely see some I do not want.
All right. They all seem kind of equal to me. I'm not excited. about it.
Lopez looks pretty good.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're someone who wants a video game that it's not completely an idle game like a candy box because you have to do stuff. It's not completely a cookie clicker because the stuff you're doing has a little bit of thinking and paying
Yep.
attention. You don't just click mindlessly. Like you have to push A when the bait on the end of the fishing rod starts to shake, right?
Yep.
You have to sneak up on the bug and catch it. You have to
Different bugs
you
work
know,
different ways sometimes.
Right. You have to, there's definitely a lot of lottery aspects to it to keep the human mind trapped.
Yep, but I
right?
guess what I
Things are
just
rare.
Yep, but what I
There's a lot of gotcha aspects to it, as in not as in got you, as in got you, but gotcha like gotcha
Yep.
con.
But I guess what
Right.
draws me to it, like what I think its main strength is, like on a real meta level, is that it's a game about mooching around. Like you've got this world, you can kind of mooch around in it, and there's a lot of different paths, like the lanes you were talking about. All those different lanes and paths are reasonably satisfying to futz with on their own. So if you're just idle or bored, or like it's evening, you're laying in bed, it's just a very calming, chill game to go like, let's go talk to my villagers and chop some wood, or let's
Well,
go.
I think that's the main thing in this game is that, even in those other like idle games I mentioned, right? There is still some kind of like pressure. It's either pressure from
Mm,
the back, right, trying to make you go forward, right? Like you're playing Cookie Candy Box. It's like, well, all right, you got nothing going on right now. You got to go, get more candies, get more lollipops, right? Or if you're playing a normal or average video game, as pressure from the front. You turn on Mario Brothers, the Goomba's coming at you.
yep.
You got to do something, right?
Press A, press A.
Even Super Mario Brothers, right? Or Pac-Man, the ghost is coming at you. Do something, right? You have to do things. The game is attacking you. In Animal Crossing, there is no pressure from the front or back. You can go forward if you want, but like I said, the loans have no interest and no due date.
Yeah.
You can just move forward at any pace you like. If you don't want a bigger house, if you don't want to progress and get more stuff, if you don't have to, no one's making you do anything.
Yeah.
You can just chill and play in the space that has been provided for you, right? And if you choose to do more stuff at whatever pace you do it at, you will get more stuff eventually, right?
Yep.
There's no time limit, there's no losing, right? Even if you only like sell your fruit once a week, eventually you'll pay off the loan.
The worst thing that can happen to you is you get stung by wasps twice or by a tarantula once and pass out.
And it's like some people are like so upset that they pass out, and I'm like, I don't even care if a wasp gets me. What happens? I teleport a few feet away in 2 seconds, and I get right. So I think the good aspect of this game is that, and also I guess it's simultaneously awesome, but also unrealized potential.
Nah.
Is that the previous Animal Crossing games had multiplayer components? I'm not sure, but I think the GameCube one used the online connector on the GameCube.
Might have.
I don't know about that for sure, but I think I remember it doing that. Not 100%.
But this one, the Switch,
the DS had the local wireless connectivity.
it never
to other
worked.
people, right? It worked.
Barely.
The DS one did. Anyway, but this one, if you have Nintendo Online, it has internet that sucks but works.
Yep, like it actually does work. I've gone to other people's islands and mooched around and then gone back to my caveman island because I'm playing the game much more casually than a lot of our other friends.
Right. So like when it works, right, the parts of it that do work great, and that you can sort of experience this sort of like childlike play with dolls situation together.
But that's it. Like the way I'm experiencing this game is I'm just making this little village and like I'm putting trees in my house in a way that feels aesthetic for no particular reason. And it's exactly the kind of mooching around play I would do with Legos as a kid.
Right. Everyone's got a dollhouse. That's a whole island. Right. You can customize yours as much as you want. You can visit other people's. They can visit yours.
Yep.
Right. You can do stuff together. Some parts are automatic. Some part are still a game. Right. It's like I could throw a fish bait and you can catch the fish. Right. You could be like, hey, let's both chop down trees here. We'll get it done twice as fast. Right. There's all sorts like these things you can do together with other people in a true social way, not like a fake social way.
Yep. Well, like look at our friends.
A Farmville social way, right? Which is bullshit, right?
Yep.
Whereas Animal Crossing is like, no, I saw people in Animal Crossing, for example, they went to a friend's island all together and they went to the museum and they took photos together in the museum.
Yep.
Right. They went just as if they were going to a real museum.
Or like you see people will like our friends right now, they're making spreadsheets and tracking the stock market and like coordinating investments. Like there's a lot of ways to have fun with this game, no matter what you want to do, because it's still the same chill dollhouse.
Right. You can do whatever. If you're into house customizing, if you're into just the fishing, right, the collecting part, you can do whatever part you want at any pace you want. And it's all right.
Yeah. I think it is magical that this game came out during our current crisis, because I think this game is actually
came out at the exact right time.
This game is.
If it came out at any other time, I wouldn't have even bought it, or been like, oh, another Animal Crossing came out. Okay, whatever.
Yep, but this I think a lot of people are going to get in for the first time, and also honestly for kids, this game is great. This is just the kind of game you can park a kid in front of forever, and It's fine. Like what they're doing in this game is fine. They'll learn, they'll have fun, they'll poke around. It's not that different than what they do with their toys.
It's definitely, I think, for some people, it's their main game.
Mhm.
But for me, I see it more of it's my game right now because of the situation right now. But long run, it's like it's basically always your backup game,
Yeah, like
right? It's like,
I feel like years from now, I'll just like poke in and like poke at my island a little bit and go see what someone else's island's doing and then just turn it off.
right. It's like, if you're just like, all right, I played my serious game, I played my multiplayer game, I did all the stuff that I'm really into, and now I'm just chilling for a minute. All right, well, see what's on my island. I'll pick some weeds, sell some fruit,
Yep.
and save.
There is
right?
one very big problem with this game, though. If you have multiple players in your household, you cannot have two independent games unless you have two independent switches.
Right. Well, you sort of can, right? Is that
You can't drive the game forward. You can only drive your own house upgrades forward. You can't make
right?
any other events happen on the
So,
island.
so me and Rim had one switch in the house, and we both lived together. The first person to turn the game on and start the game is the person who is the village representative person who has to pay off, the loans and move the main plot of the game forward. The other person can still do all the stuff, fishing, give things to the museum, right? All stuff, right? They can play the game, but they can't drive the main game forward. So they would have to share their resources with the main person so that they could then use those efforts towards driving the game forward.
Yep. Which is
Right?
a
So
real.
you're sort of all living together and working together in the same place, but one person is in charge running the show.
Which is a real shame because if you have like someone who has more than one kid, which kid gets to be the primary player? Because I'm not buying two switches. Like that is
right.
That has caused big
Or
strife.
more copies of the game.
You can't know more
Well,
copies of the game don't work.
Oh, okay.
Even if you have two separate cartridges, it stores everything in the Switch, so you can still.
You can't even put on the SD card and switch SD cards.
Nope. If I give you my cart and then you give me your Switch and we hand it to a third person and they start a game, they'll be on your island because it's your Switch.
Okay. But anyway. But yeah, sometimes that situation of being on the same island could be correct, right? Like you could imagine a family where like a 4-person family and they all have houses on the island and they all work together.
Like Emily
right?
just moved into my island and we just kind of hang out and do the thing. But
right. It's like that could be cool, but sometimes it's not what you want. If it's two adults living in the house, they both want their own islands. You now need two switches.
Or our friend other Scott, his kid started the game first and then he made the second account, like not knowing this problem. And the child is not particularly engaged in driving anything forward, so the island
you could just log in as the child. And
yeah,
do the
but now you got to play games like that. I feel
so
like
what's the problem? I don't see a problem with that. Just log in as the child and do the thing.
yeah, the child might notice.
What are they going to notice? That there's now a new building on the
They
island?
might.
You just tell them you did it.
I just feel like this
okay,
was a
the
weird
truth.
omission. Like I can't believe Nintendo didn't anticipate this being a big problem for people.
Nintendo definitely, it's like I said, there's so much missed potential. Like the way the online works, only 8 people on an island at a time. The island can only be so big. The egg thing is meh, right? And when you join someone else's island, right? It's like there's this huge cutscene.
That cutscene is so fucking long.
And there's a lot of connection issues and things. It's because Nintendo, I think, was expecting this to be like children playing the game together. Like someone joining the island, they would come and stay and play a while.
Yep.
And you wouldn't have people coming in and out and in and out and in and out and in and out just to sell their turnips and leave. And sell turnips and leave. Like with a chain of, right? We're definitely not playing the game as intended, right?
Yep. Well, it's Nintendo.
Adult brains can understand the systems and exploit them because they're not meant for adults.
Yep. And exploiting the systems is part of the fun for adults too. Like it's kind of fun to sell all your turnips for 600 bells a piece and make a fortune.
Yeah, well, I have the fortune now, and now I don't need to play the stupid turnip game anymore. That's mostly why I did it.
Yeah.
It's like I just want to have enough money I can stop grinding.
Yep. I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing. I feel like for the long haul, I'll just like poke at this game every day a little bit, and like laying in bed, I might just log on and just see what's doing and just sort of mooch around.
Yeah. And one thing that's nice about it, I got to say, is that for, as much of a cookie clicker, idle, grindy game it is, one thing they did that I wish other grinding games would do is they sort of mostly put caps on grinding ability. Like
Yeah.
you can, on your island, you hit all your rocks up to 8 times each a day.
Maybe you
You
accidentally
can
destroy
only
a
have
rock,
so many
but
you can only you pick all your fruit. Okay, I picked all my fruit. You can go around catching bugs. Eventually you've caught every bug, right? It's like you can go keep fishing. It's like you can
yep.
keep doing those things as long as you
Well,
want,
maybe
but
I'll
it's
go to
sort
other
of
islands. Well, I only got so many Nook miles, so I can only get so many
right.
tickets.
You use your Nook miles to get tickets to go to other islands to get more stuff, but eventually it's like you're sort of gated. It's like, okay, I've crafted everything I've got. It's like this you can't go that far, right? And because of the real-time clock, unless you cheat and move your clock forward, it's like, okay, I've done everything I can do today.
Yep.
I can't play anymore today. Put the game down. It doesn't keep you locked in grinding like a MMO does. It's like you've done basically what you can do for today. If you keep grinding, you won't really make that much progress.
Yep. And also
Go
tied to real
away.
time. And it just makes it a nice sort of confluence with the real world. Like if I log in at night, it's night. The first day I played the game, it was pouring rain outside. So I turned the game on, pouring rain.
I don't think it checks the real weather.
It seems it's definitely, I'm seeing for now, I haven't seen it rain in my game except when it's been rainy in the New York area.
I'll have to check and see if it actually uses GPS and some weather data.
Yeah,
But
I'll keep an eye
I'm
on
under
it.
the impression the weather was random, but I could be wrong about that.
Yeah, it's happened to be since I bought the game. If it's been rainy in this area, it's been rainy in the game, and when it's been sunny out, it's been not rainy in the game.
It's interesting.
Might
I'll
just be
Google
a
that later.
weird coincidence.
I think it might be.
But the day-night cycle too, like get up in the morning, my villagers are up to different stuff, and like Blathers is like falling asleep because he's an owl and he wants to sleep.
Yeah.
And like I go at night, and like
Definitely a
one of my
lot
villagers is like wandering around a lot at night, but the other one's always asleep at night. And there's like I like watching my villagers just do stuff.
Yeah, I mean, regardless of my not caring about villagers, just the aesthetic of the game, I think, is a large part of the appeal.
Oh yeah, the
right? It's
aesthetic's
like
great.
you want to make stuff look a certain way, and you want to, a lot of cute things and a lot of dialogue.
I spent a
and,
lot of time thinking
know-
about how to decorate the outside of my house.
yeah, that kind of thing, right? The decoration aspect, right, is a large part of it that doesn't require that much grinding. Actually, the game, if like you just want to decorate or dress up, the game gives you plenty of clothes and furniture without much effort.
Yep.
right?
And also, it doesn't fall into the trap Nintendo has repeatedly fallen into in the past. It does not tie guy and girl like hairstyles to guy and girl selections.
Right, you have to choose sort of like, one of the two character model shapes at the start.
But they're
guy or
pretty
girl.
much just two blobs.
Yeah, there's mostly two blobs. I think it's more like what they start with, clothing and hair wise,
Yeah.
is different by default. But then you can customize them quite a bit in terms of eyes and hair and stuff. And then once you're in the game, you can do whatever. I could wear a skirt and get long hair and do whatever.
Yeah.
So you can do you.
So the other interesting thing, apparently the other flaw, the save data does not sync to Nintendo Online.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
So if your Switch gets destroyed, you're just fucked. It's all gone forever. Fuck you.
That's true.
That is.
Oh,
I feel like that is an even more glaring omission because Nintendo cannot be under the misapprehension that people will not care that much if they lose the 10-year-long Animal Crossing game they've poured into their ancient dying Switch.
Yep. The one last thing, that genius thing that they added is the custom the custom artwork thing.
Yeah.
So you can make custom artwork on squares, which can be used for various things like hanging up on the wall or simple clothing and stuff like that. Just you do pixel art in the game.
Yep.
And then you can do advanced pixel art you can do in the game, pro designs for specific articles of clothing. It's like I want to make a hat, I want to make a hoodie, and you can do pixel art on these templates to make custom clothing. So I made like a Boo hoodie, which has Boo the Ghost on
Yep.
it, right?
And as long as no one like reports you because you
Right.
Like-
Well, and then you can share your things online with other people, right? You can use them in the game. There's QR code system. There's all kinds of systems for sharing all these custom clothing designs. And that requires absolutely no grinding whatsoever. Like you just have that. So you could start the game up and do very little grinding. And as soon as you, I don't know if it's immediately unlocked, but it's very early unlocked, the custom designer.
I think you need to
That's
spend
like a
Nook miles on
whole-
it, and it didn't take much.
Yeah, like that's a whole game in and of itself, just making clothing, a lot like Second Life did, right? And I'm seeing like every single internet community I'm a part of, whether it's a nerdy one or not, like I've seen every single sports community I'm in. New York Rangers, Animal Crossing people
Yep.
are in the New York Rangers community being like, I made hats, I made jerseys, I made whatever,
Yeah.
right? You know, it's like literally every other fandom,
The
Animal Crossing
creativity of
crosses
people.
into it.
Do you know what this overlaps with? Diorama making too. You're basically making a diorama to show to people. I see so many tweets that are just an extremely intricately well-crafted scene in Animal Crossing.
I'm just saying, literally every other community has people posting custom Animal Crossing clothing for whatever that community is.
Yep.
Right? Look, I made a stormtrooper in Animal Crossing. Look, I made a right, literally everything. So
I love how many people made prisons to lock that rabbit away. I didn't have anything to, I just wasn't going to make a bunch of fences because I didn't have enough wood handy, so I just dug a pit around him and left him there.
So I say, if you got a Nintendo Switch and you're looking for, you know, it's like my Nintendo Switch experience up until now was always, you know, play a game, beat it, and then not go back to the Switch until there was a new game,
Yep.
right? And Pokemon games, I always, ever since, the only Pokemon games I beat were the first two, maybe 2 or 3. And then after that, I played every Pokemon game, but I would
Yep.
only get so many
Oh,
gyms.
I think I actually
and then
hear
stop.
Animal Crossing happening in the other room right now.
Yeah, every other Pokemon game, I would play some number of gyms and then stop, right? Whereas, and that Pokemon could be your go-to game to fall back on,
Yep.
right? But I think for most people, the Animal Crossing is actually all right, you got your Switch games come out, you play them, Mario Odyssey comes out, Zelda comes out, you play them and you beat them. But instead of putting your Switch away, you fall back to the Animal Crossing as the thing for your Switch does.
Yep.
And now you're using it all the time, right?
Oh, someone even updated the Wikipedia to say the game's success has been partially attributed to its release during the coronavirus pandemic.
It's absolutely
with
true.
players
It's not
seeking a sense of
not an
normality.
exaggeration
Yeah.
or a joke in any way.
It even says it right here, with players seeking a sense of normality amidst worldwide shelter-in-place orders. That is literally
I'm
happening.
not seeking normality, but I absolutely would not have bought it if I was not stuck inside with this much free time.
Yep. So yeah, Animal Crossing. If you want to mooch around on an island, make a diorama, talk to some animals, and catch some fish, like this game's pretty fun, and you don't have
And
much.
It's way better if you have friends who are into it, so that you can do stuff together.
Yeah. And also like there's a level of effort I'm not willing to put into a game like this, but I can experience that level of effort via some of our more hardcore friends.
Right. It's like the other people I think are like going to play that stock market weekly. Right. I just wanted to do it to cancel grinding. And now that I have,
Once I'm a millionaire, I don't need to be in the stock market anymore.
Yeah. If I have enough money that I don't have to do it again, I won't. I'm just not sure if I have enough money or if I need to do it one more time.
Nah.
But anyway.
All right.
That's that. Cross the animal.
They're crossed. All right. Let me end the stream.